It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. It's Friday. Gary, how are you?
Good. I'm not Gary.
Huh?
I am Jimmy.
Oh, yeah, we're all Jimmy.
We're all Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
We're all... Are you Jimmy Kimmel? I'm Jimmy Kimmel.
You know, when Colbert said that, or I read that Colbert said that. I didn't actually see it. But when Stephen Colbert said that, I thought to myself, oh, he's admitting they're all arrogant jerks. Okay. I think we knew that. But okay.
I'm reading the headline. Stephen Colbert declares, tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel.
I am Cecil.
You know, I'm sitting here reading Andrew McCarthy. So now the left is against government extortion to suppress speech? And he gives this example that, and I went, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. More than a dozen years ago, the Obama administration joined with Turkey's strongman and other Sharia supremacist regimes to craft the United Nations Human Rights Council Resolution 1618. The provision bound the concurring governments, which includes the United States, to enact laws that would prohibit speech or expression that could incite mere hostility to religion. And as should go without saying, when it came to the Obama administration, there was only one religion under consideration for this special dispensation: Islam. Many of us pointed out that an American codification of Resolution 1618 would be unconstitutional. This was so patently true that Secretary of State Clinton, playing point on the speech suppression effort and planning a 2016 presidential run, had to backpedal. Finally, she vowed, law or no law, that the Obama administration would use some old-fashioned techniques of peer pressure and shaming so that people don't feel that they have to support to do what we abhor. And he just goes on, you know, giving other examples. But interesting, because the politics of this. I'm going to play a couple of audio cuts here. First, here's Stephen Smith talking about this. Okay, here we go. Stephen A. Smith.
The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host, and obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke? Obviously, it wasn't anything funny about that.
All right, that's there. Geraldo Rivera, quote, and we'll play the audio later. By focusing on the censorship aspect and the First Amendment aspect, it's losing sight of what should be the lead, and that's a Jimmy Kimmel owes the family of Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica an apology. And then what was the other one I want to play? Okay, yeah, here's Chris Cuomo, and I'm doing this because I want to play to show the political impact of this. People that are on the left.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. All right. Not the wacko left anymore. But I say anymore because I'm playing Chris Cuomo in a second. But still, they're on the left. Here we go. Here's Chris Cuomo.
You can like or not like Disney's decision on Kimmel, but until I see proof of actual government coercion of their decision, this is about Disney making a business decision about its brand and the responsibility it has to respect the desires of its audience and its license, okay? Yes, Trump said Kimmel would be next. Now, is that correlation or is it causation? The answer to that comes in proof.
And the one thing that Trump has done consistently is at times he will sort of give the impression that he's going to go after or do something and break the Constitution to do so.
Yeah.
For example, when he said, we went into Washington with the National Guard, we're going to go straight into Chicago with the National Guard. That's unconstitutional. But did he do that? No. And when he did decide, when he did find a city to do it, it was done legally with Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Where he have said, if the governor wants a National Guard, we'll send it in. But this is a federal task force at the request of the governor to do it.
Right.
So what didn't help this week, but I don't think anybody's really paying attention to it, was Attorney General Bondi. Because what she said was so crystal clear, unconstitutional, and then she had to back off on it completely.
Yeah, on the hate speech thing.
On the hate speech. And everybody, I don't care whether they were MAGA or whatever, came out and said no. So there's been this suggestion. And look, for me personally, I think that radio and TV should be deregulated. I don't think the government should be involved in it at all. As a libertarian, I think the government should be out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want the appearance of this going on. You saw the FCC commissioner say, well, we may investigate The View. One of the things that you and I talked about yesterday is radio stations and TV stations are traditionally different because they're under government regulation. Mm-hmm. And you and I both talked about that. I managed a radio station, managed a couple of radio stations in my life. And the public file, you always had to make sure that the public file was taken care of, and so you had to show the FCC that you were doing things in the public interest. But it wasn't what you actually said on the air that was ever viewed as the public interest.
Right.
It was, are you doing stupid public service shows early on a Sunday morning at 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it came down to.
And back in the day, reading PSAs throughout the day.
Right.
And,
are you doing public service announcement?
We were all the station, every one of us. Right. We were the station that cares.
But the problem is we don't know specifically. I never knew specifically. Even as a station manager, I could not tell you what specifically the public interest was. The only way you would find out, and that could be different with each administration, was if somebody complained and challenged your license.
Yeah.
And said, you're not doing this, and then you get into the legal fight when your license renewal comes up with the FCC. Mm-hmm. But that hardly ever happened because the FCC mostly dismissed it as long as you were giving a semblance. And now this goes back to the 80s for me, the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
But I don't believe the government should be involved at all in radio or TV.
I always had, because I never saw someone come in to inspect the FCC file. I never, not once, saw anybody come in to actually inspect it.
It's happened,
from the
though.
FCC.
It's happened.
Oh, no, it does happen.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
But I never saw it. So in my mind, for years, I always pictured the Gestapo, but not the Gestapo, the actual Gestapo, the Gestapo from Hogan's Heroes. Like not knowing what they're doing. Like the Benny Hill version of the Gestapo.
It wasn't General Burkhalter. What was, I forgot his name.
Oh, Sergeant Schultz?
No. The head of the head of
the Colonel. Colonel Klink?
No. He wasn't the head of the Gestapo. Remember, the Gestapo had the black uniform.
Yeah, that's right. That was he was head of the prison.
Yeah.
Who was the was it Burkhalter?
No. That was General Burkhalter. He was Klink, you idiot Klink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just see. Hang on a second here. Let me just see if I get it. Major Hochstetter.
Oh, yeah.
Major Hochstetter.
Yeah.
Yes, that's played by actor Howard Kane. He was he come in, he'd take that stick, whatever you want to call it. Frank, we are the Gestapo.
Yeah. And
Hogan, help me.
Hogan. With his little monocle.
We'll solve this thing. We got chocolate bars. Give him to Schultz. He'll figure this all out.
Exactly. The little French guy always had chocolate bars. And
LeBeau.
LeBeau.
The fact that I know so much about this bothers me because I've really never thought about it much.
It was great comedy. Think about that. It was a great comedy about one of the world's greatest tragedies and set of events. Think about that. It was, they were mocking Hitler every episode. And I always thought in my mind that person from the FCC was going to be, flanked by 3 or 4 people on each side. We are here to see your FCC file. And, of course, I never got to see that. I was waiting for that day. But when station ownership walked down the hall and said, hey, is our FCC file up to date? I would start sweating, and I wasn't even the station manager. And I'm with you. I don't think, especially in today's world, I don't think the government should have any part in it. This you mentioned it the other day, but it bears repeating. The liberals have said, well, the airwaves belong to the public. No, they don't. No, they don't. There was, again, a set of rules that you have to act in the public interest. But what governs that?
Well,
really?
they were making the case, and I agree with you on that, because when you own a radio station, you do what you want, you format what you want, and if the audience comes along, fine. But legally, because you're regulated by the federal government, that was the justification that it's the airwaves are owned by the people.
Well, and when the government defines, the public interest, then it becomes boring PSAs. But when the private sector, when the public itself, which by the way, you and I are both involved heavily and have been for years with nonprofits. That's not the point. It's the DJs, the DJs and the way they present the cause on the air. That is different.
When the private sector decides what the private interest is, you get yacht rock.
Exactly. But the community decides what the community interest is, what the public interest is.
Well, the marketplace does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the marketplace.
Exactly.
The marketplace. So,
and that's what I believe is what governs. You should be responsible when you're on the air. You should feel that responsibility to your audience. And locally to those communities, there's not a moment in my mind or in my time here that I don't think of all of the communities, that have great stations that carry our show. I think about those station managers and everything else and what it means to the listeners, and you want to do the responsible thing. That's to me, that's a given. Nobody had to teach me that.
Yeah, and so the law is when it comes to the regulation of TV and radio stations is pretty vague. And that's why, because if you see, we know what the Democrats did when they were in power. We know the censoring, New York Post. We know the government involvement in there. And again, this is where the Trump administration has said words. Trump himself is always sort of implying, well, maybe we should investigate them for this, or maybe we should. That's unconstitutional, but so far he hasn't done it. Bondi was so specifically clear this week. That's why you saw the pushback.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of even implying you're going to do something because I don't want the View off the air.
No, I don't want. I quite frankly don't want the View to change.
Yeah, I don't want the View. And people are like, what are you talking about? Because they are our best ammunition. You and I have said this. The reason we never want to shut up the left is because they make our point better than we do because we make the accusations. And so people say, well, you're making this accusation. I don't know whether it's true or not. But then you play the actual audio from them, and they make the case that you don't want to be a liberal more than we could ever do it at times.
It's as if, there's some people want, this change to the extent they want the View to become outnumbered from Fox News, or as I call it, why are men always wrong? And And I don't want that to happen. I want the View to be the View. First of all, we love playing the audio cuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why.
But again, this is how those people think. This is what they believe. We should listen to them. Now, I'm not going to actually watch the show. The only time I hear them is on our show. But, I'll say this. Our friends at Newsbusters, we have them do all the work. But I think people should know how the other side, if you're a conservative, you should know how the far left thinks.
Yeah. I
you should hear them in their own words.
Anything that we've heard that has been absolutely an abomination. It's been evil as you can get. It's been immoral as you can get. All these things that have been said by the left, I don't want to shut them up.
Right.
People of the United States need to know. They need to know that these people feel so free to express their insanity and their pro-murder mindset.
Right.
I don't want to shut that up.
Right. Exactly.
We need to know that in a free society.
Exactly.
We got a great show ahead. 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Did you know that up to half of all major engine failures are due to poor cooling system maintenance? That's a lot of downtime and can cost drivers big. You expect a lot from your engine, which is why the cooling system must be a part of your maintenance routine. Here's a tip to keep your cooling system in shape and your engine running smooth. Have the system properly flushed whenever the coolant is changed. Over time, contaminants from seals, oil, and fuel are released into the system and must be removed. And remember, flushing the system with the right coolant mix and water dilution is crucial. If you have coolant questions or need an expert to help flush your system, have your cooling system inspected by a professional technician.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I don't want to forget about this. I didn't see. It's so funny because every time the Bills play, especially a national game, everybody, I get the. So what do you think? I go, I don't know. I didn't see any of the game. I was asleep.
Yeah.
I have to work. But the one thing I do know, because I saw it all over X, is that they did a great video for Charlie Kirk at the Bills-Miami game last night that was played in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so I saw just a number of people posting going, wow, and it showed his family and everything else.
Wow.
Charlie Kirk up on the video screen. So
by the way, they wouldn't be doing that if there weren't wide support for and empathy for Erica and the family and people grieving the loss. If that didn't exist, if it was quite the opposite, the NFL would probably do nothing. They wouldn't come out and be all pro-murder like the far left is doing. But they certainly wouldn't be doing what they're doing now without that wide support in the fan base and in the locker room.
Well, and the fact of the Stop Hate is not directed at the right.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, that was and funny thing is, you and I said that a couple of weeks ago. Well, all these messages actually apply to the Democrats.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I do, because the Bills did win, I did wear my Al Bundy 33 Polk High T-shirt. If they would have lost, I wear my Forrest Gump.
Well, it's got the Bills blue on it, at least. It looks kind of Buffalo Bills-ish.
I have a Forrest Gump jersey, too. That's
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning.
It is National Truck Driver Appreciation Week, and all of us here at Red Eye Radio, we hope you know drivers that over the years, in fact, since our very beginning, going back to the very beginnings of this show, 1969, Bill Mack started the all-night show on WBAP, and we've been saluting truckers ever since. So not just during National Truck Driver Appreciation Week, but certainly during this week, we want to say thank you for everything that you do. It's amazing to watch truck drivers over the years step up and be a part of the support for first responders. In fact, being first responders themselves in some cases after 9/11, showing up to carry out the rubble and help with the cleanup. Help a city and a nation heal, delivering things that we needed when stores were running out of things or the rules were getting to the point where you could only go to the store or work, and all of that during COVID. Some amazing stories along the years, and that's what it takes. That's what an economy requires, is people who give up a lot. It's a thankless job, and spend a lot of time, sacrifice time away from their family, live on the road in many cases, and we should add, they're not getting rich by doing it. So we're so grateful that you feel the calling of the open road, because, again, you're the backbone of the economy. If you bought it, a truck brought it, and we thank you. And we want to say hello to Justin. Justin is in Pennsylvania. He's been driving for 20 years. He hauls groceries. So I've been known to tag along and follow a few, you might call it stalking, grocery trucks. If it's a Nabisco truck, I might get behind it. Teresa in Texas, she's been driving for 28 years, and she's been with the same company for 15 years. Again, thank you, drivers. We greatly appreciate everything that you do. We have some sponsors that also want to say thank you. They include Shell Rotella, Denny's, House Products, and the St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund. All of them over the years, and I can say this firsthand as I've worked firsthand with them and gotten to know our sponsors. All of these sponsors here I just mentioned and others are have a great interest in the well-being of the industry, the well-being of those individuals out there behind the wheel, and show support, and they mean it. They really, it's not just their business. These people are fully in for the long haul, and we're grateful to have those kind of sponsors. So thank you to all of them. And, again, you can go to redeyeradioshow.com. We have more up there as well. But, throughout September and also during this week, National Truck Driver Appreciation Week, I just want to say thank you once again, drivers, for all that you do.
Want to play some audio here as we talk about their response to Jimmy Kimmel getting fired. And, by the way, anybody, if you're honest, if you're somebody who is honest in the media about understanding how the media works, you have the opinion that Chris Cuomo has.
Yep.
What we said yesterday, they were looking for a reason to get rid of him.
Yep.
The ratings aren't there. The money isn't there.
His deal was almost up.
Right. The fact, I mean, one of the most amazing things is the fact that Colbert, for such a long time, was losing so much money.
Yeah.
That is actually what is really unusual and weird.
Yeah.
That you would keep somebody employed who is losing that kind of money, especially when you're talking about late night.
Right.
You're losing that kind of money. You don't want to lose that because you can do a lot different things or do nothing.
Yeah.
And let the local TV stations run infomercials.
game shows,
and
paid TV or whatever.
Exactly, but to lose that kind of money, it just doesn't exist. And anybody who's been in the media for any length of time knows that the normal thing is there are shows that are canceled. There are radio shows that have been canceled, and they're still profitable.
Yeah. Yep.
But they look at it and say, okay, well, we want to go in a different direction, or it's not, the return on the investment still isn't as great as we want. We think we can make more money doing this. This is normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as Chris Cuomo said, okay, yeah, there's stuff out there that, they're throwing out, implying that they might do something, but they haven't done anything. And he goes, this was a business decision. Unless I see evidence it wasn't, this is a business decision, because we all know the fact that late night, as you mentioned yesterday, Kimmel said it over the summer.
Yeah, he saw it.
They're all going away. They're not making money.
Right.
And then we got into talking about some of the ratings with CNN and MSNBC and the fact of normal programming. What's normal? And we went through point by point by point of what people, the consumer out there looks and says, well, that's not normal. That's not normal. And we started with, the radical transgender movement, the fact that all white people are culturally racist, all these things that you throw out there. You're not looking even to get mass appeal for an idea. Perfect example. You have a ton of people in this country that hate Trump. They do. I mean, we've seen it. That's why he's Hitler and a Nazi and everything else, when there's no evidence at all that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they say. There are people, and we've looked at this, the 80-20 issues, and we know it's been documented in the polling. There are people say, I'm absolutely against this. Well, this is what Trump says. Well, then I'm absolutely against this. Well, Trump's against it too. Well, then I'm for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it, but all those 80-20 issues, which the left is in the 20, and the 20 is extremely radical. And the perfect example, a man can be a woman if the man says so. We all know, unless you've been brainwashed, and there have been some people that have been brainwashed, but you can't brainwash the majority of the public. They look at that and they say, nah. And that's what Trump is focused on, the 80-20 issues. Not all of them. There are some he should look at and say, I need to make that more of an 80.
Yeah.
But you have to be normal. And what you get, whether it's the screeching of The View for things that are nuts, and we know it's not normal. You want to know how The View isn't normal? Because you don't have lawyers that are constantly monitoring in real time and having to send you legal notes because they believe that in 1 second you'll defame anybody because you're completely clueless. You really don't have a great deal of common sense and critical thinking to be in the position that you are. So we need to have the lawyers on staff in real time to monitor you so we can put in a legal note.
Yeah.
That is so rare in the history of the media.
Right.
And so we've always said, when you look at being a conservative in this country, the things that we believe, the things that you and I believe, and we've said this many times, tell us one radical position that we have. Tell us something that's radical.
Right.
When I talk to my liberal acquaintances, even some old-time friends that I don't see too often, they'll bring up the issues. When I bring up the issues and keep personalities out of it, they're agreeing with me 80% of the time.
Hmm.
And the other 20%, it's like they just sit there and look at you like some of the college students used to look at Charlie Kirk with complete silence. They don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And that's not what's happening. And so you see, even on the left, you saw what Chris Cuomo said to Stephen A. Smith. My God, this is horrible. Do you understand what's going on here? We need to have compassion for the family. You cannot be doing this. Here's Geraldo Rivera talking about it.
You know, by focusing on the censorship aspect and the First Amendment aspect, I think it's losing sight of what should be the lead, and that's that Jimmy Kimmel owes the family of Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica, 2 small children, an apology. What's he saying? That if you're a member of MAGA and Charlie is a friend of MAGA, then he had it coming. It just it's in some way it's very extremely insensitive. The country's in a very tough spot right now. Everyone's walking on eggshells. The First Amendment is not a license to incite hatred. And, I think that we can start the discussion. Once Jimmy Kimmel apologizes, then they can talk about the business aspects and whether or not he gets back on the schedule and so forth.
He's not going to apologize.
Yeah, I, again, ask, because if he did apologize, what would it mean? What would it mean to me? It would mean that there was a business discussion surrounding the apology.
Well, no, it would tell you that he decided to make a business decision and lie about what he believes. If he were to apologize,
well, if you're to believe the apology,
right? It would be
that assumes
right,
you believe the apology, which I never would.
Right.
So the business decision would be to issue a fake apology. I don't need that. Because, and I can't speak for Erica and those closest to Charlie Kirk. I didn't know Charlie. But as a society, the overwhelming majority of us believe behavior like this is unacceptable. They scream that these people, like Charlie, are filled with hate. And we see where the real hate comes from every day. They're the ones that are filled with hate. And the moment somebody calls them out on it, they start crying. These are people who have made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And in their arrogance thought they were beyond reproach. Nope, times are changing, and we're just not that into you, and you're not part of a normal society. I don't need Jimmy Kimmel to get fired. I didn't care about Jimmy Kimmel before. I don't care about him now. That was the marketplace deciding, you know what? Sorry, no room for you here.
Yeah.
Ownership decided
You're not normal.
You're not normal.
I go back to that
this
from
is
yesterday.
Not normal.
And I'm talking about in our culture what's accepted.
Exactly.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I am Gary McNamara. So, yeah, that's why we played all liberals.
Yeah.
And the liberals out there that are saying, no, you can't, this is just, you can't defend this. You can't defend what Jimmy Kimmel said. The only difference is I want the insane liberal voices to be heard. I don't want them to go underground.
Yeah, I don't want that either. I mean, I think they should be, again, we can ask about the business model. We don't get it.
Yeah, the business model.
We wondered that, though, for like The View. It's like, okay, who's watching The View? Right? I mean, what types of viewers do they have? I don't keep up with the ratings, but, you and I are of the mindset, or were of the mindset that, well, everything must be working because they're still on the air. But then you look at the Colbert business model, and my gosh.
You know,
Who
there's
was,
almost a,
who
there,
was running it? Was it the CEO from Cracker Barrel?
but
Was she running CBS all those years?
But there does seem to be a sense of entitlement. It doesn't matter whether we lose money; we provide such a valuable service.
Well, that's the thing.
You're not NPR.
I'm not surprised that Colbert is surprised that he's being canceled. Because what do you mean I'm being canceled? We've been losing for a long, long time.
Yeah, why are you canceling me now?
Why now?
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. We are not Jimmy Kimmel.
I'm not Jimmy Kimmel.
Hey, I'm on X right now. I don't see that as trending.
No. Well, that's another thing. When Stephen Colbert allegedly said, I'm not going to watch Colbert. What do I know? But I read where he said, tonight we are all Jimmy Kimmel. I said, I'm not.
Just love that.
I'm not. You might be.
I love it because it's so stupid.
It is stupid.
Just like so stupid.
As Jimmy Kimmel is driving to his lawyer's office in L.A. in his high-dollar Porsche, we're supposed to believe, oh my gosh, we can't believe this is happening. How will he ever survive?
What I thought was fascinating, did you see the Sean Davis from The Federalist response to Barry Weiss? Now, we've talked about Barry Weiss in the Free Press.
Yeah.
And we've often said, look, she's not a conservative. But when it comes to journalistic things, she's done some pretty good things, part of the Twitter files and all that. Mm-hmm. Well, she wrote this. For those on the right who might like what they're seeing from this FCC, remember that Democrats will wield this power again. Ready for his response?
Yeah.
What planet do you live on? Mm-hmm. For starters, an assassin murdered Charlie Kirk for speaking. Your imagine the shoe is on the other foot shtick is delusional. The shoe has been on the other foot for a decade. When Christians are being publicly murdered for their views, and the entirety of the Democratic media industrial complex laughs and lies about it, we know who the actual martyrs are. The people who are dead, not your Hollywood friends. But let's talk about actual censorship for a moment. The federal government explicitly targeted the Federalist, which is Sean Davis, Molly Hemingway. People know her from as a Fox News contributor. Mm-hmm. They targeted the Federalist, the publication I founded and run, for destruction. It bullied social media companies to censor both Molly Hemingway and me, not for our opinions, but for reporting indisputable facts. Regulators bullied advertisers into banning us. We were put on blacklists by our own government. Millions were spent on grants and software development to create algorithms to suppress us indefinitely. As a result, the censorship we face and the damages we incur as a result are still ongoing. We sued the federal government for years ago and still have not received any relief. Where were you for all of this? Did you ever stand up for us after we were explicitly targeted for destruction by the government? Any tweets or op-eds in support of an actual journalistic publication being ravaged by government censorship, and he calls to punish those who spearheaded massive and illegal government conspiracies to destroy entire journalistic outfits? Of course not. Now, the only thing is, she was part of releasing what was going on with with Twitter at that time. We are neither neocons nor celebrities in your personal social circle, but when Jimmy Kimmel viciously and deliberately lied, violated longstanding broadcast rules, you need to be more specific with that one, and put even more Christians and conservatives at risk of being shot and killed by left-wing ideologues, you sure were quick to jump to his defense. So there it is.
Yeah.
It's like you really can't say, well, what happens when Democrats get in power? We already know what Democrats did.
Been
when they were
living in that or had lived in that. It's and I don't like you and I have talked about certain things of like when Pam Bondi suggested as an AG that she should legally go after hate speech. In that moment, you don't want a conservative saying that, well, someone we thought was a conservative saying that as an AG, because that kicks open the door for when liberals get power. And we've made that comparison. But in terms of what liberals have thrown at us for years, we've lived it. We know it.
Well, we know, and remember California had the law.
Yep.
That was knocked down by their Supreme Court on it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's after what is it, 9 days now after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it's about where I expected things to be. I'm not happy where things are with the left, but when you think about it, we've done the polling that shows that the left believes that hate speech should be prosecuted.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually the right that doesn't wish hate speech to be prosecuted by the government.
Right.
And so it's really interesting that they're using censorship in the First Amendment to this one when there's actually not been any censorship or any proof of censorship.
Right.
There's been things that Trump has said or Pam Bondi has said or the FCC commissioner said.
Right.
But there's actually been nothing that was done. And they're like, yeah, but even implying that is a violation of the First Amendment. It's like, you people are talking after what you did?
Yeah.
After what you did from 2020 on, from what you did, well, really from 2019 on, because that's when the FBI got the laptop, as you remember.
Yeah.
It was, December of 19.
Mm-hmm.
And, they hit it. You did everything to keep the truth from the American public. You did everything to punish the right. You basically shut down for a short time the New York Post.
Yeah.
From social media.
Yep.
You did everything. And we know, and that's the one part that Sean, and I understand these people are friends of Charlie Kirk. Things are heated right now. And so tempers are extremely short, as is totally justifiable because of what happened at this case. You can't sit there and say, both sides need to come together and both sides need to love each other and both sides need to kumbaya.
I'm done with the both sides thing.
Yeah, but when that's exactly what Charlie Kirk did and was murdered for that.
He was doing the work.
Yeah.
And tell me where the middle ground is for a person who's willing to murder someone else. We all need to come together. What they're saying is, let's all take equal blame. We don't like taking the heat on the left.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Let's just muddy the blame waters here, and we'll all call it a day. No. By the way, I don't need a kumbaya. I don't need the other side to agree with me. I just wish they were open to debate.
Well, you're probably going to find out that that will be the case.
I already know it.
They're not going to agree with you.
I already know it. That's why I said it. I don't need them to. I'd like to have the debate. But night after night,
They don't
for
want the debate.
years,
They don't want the
you and I have sat at an empty table. Well, one-sided table.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they don't care to have debates anymore. It's name-calling. It's fear-mongering.
it's lies.
That has to, and for those lies to live on, for those lies to be effective and to motivate, the fear has to be re-upped every day and has to be increased every day. Trump is a fascist. Trump is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. Charlie Kirk is a fascist. They need to instill fear in people to motivate them. There's only one reason you do it, to motivate them. And the truth is, every reasonable person on the planet knows that Trump isn't Hitler. He's not a fascist. And they're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. And in the wake of an assassination, they are pro-murder and go after the actual victim, the person who is no longer here, over and over again.
You know, we said this, a couple weeks after the election. We said, okay, it's obvious they're not going to change at all. And you see they're doubling down. I did see yesterday that you have more in the Democrat legislature now in New York saying, okay, we need to make sure that Mandami can do the things that he wants. Because if Mandami can do it, these are things that we want to do.
Right.
It's like now everybody, Hochul, and now there's the pressure on Jeffries. Everybody's now going to say, okay, we need to get more radical. Let's see if socialism/Marxism now works for us.
Right.
So they're going to double down on not being normal.
Yep. And Mamdani has right now the numbers to win.
Yeah.
If these numbers hold, he's going to be mayor.
And you and I said this, that these, when you look at it, these liberal states aren't going to change. They're becoming more radical, and people are moving.
Well,
they're getting, and as they get less powerful in the republic because they're losing population, and the other states are growing, doesn't seem to matter to them. They
No,
don't seem to
it
care
really
about
doesn't. And they, again, I thought to myself, imagine, this was just earlier before the show, imagine lawfare under Mamdani. Imagine that Mamdani wins, because right now he's on par to win, becomes the mayor of New York City. Now, those in his party that are in power, even though they're not working under the mayor, will feel empowered to go even further. Lawfare is going to continue. They're going to continue to go after anybody and everybody who opposes them in every single way that they can. And if Mamdani wins, I can't imagine how radical that's going to be. But it will happen. It absolutely will happen. And, we've talked about it. The people in New York City, they make this choice. Got to help you.
Yep. 86690 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
After fuel, an owner-operator's second biggest variable cost is tires. To save, get as much life out of them as possible with good habits. Maintain proper inflation. It's free and easy, yet it's the highest saving maintenance you can perform on the truck. Improper inflation is by far the greatest reason tires fail early. Perform routine maintenance. If a technician can by hand initiate irregular movements in tie rod ends, kingpins, wheel bearings, and torque rods, that spells trouble. Fight irregular wear by replacing suspension components. On the steer axle, change your shocks at least as often as you change your tires. On the drive axle, replace shocks halfway through the tire's life, and when the tires are changed too. Finally, employ good driving habits. You have full control here. More conservative driving over rough surfaces helps reduce wear. Speeding, hard braking, curbing, and tight turns cause tires to wear fast. On the other hand, steady acceleration, braking, and steering can extend the life, saving a bundle. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section on the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right, so he's speaking from his basement. Former ESPN host Keith Olbermann was ripped on social media following his reaction to Jimmy Kimmel's show being pulled from the airwaves. Sinclair called for ABC to air a remembrance for Kirk in lieu of Kimmel's show. Olbermann wrote on X, "Burn in hell, Sinclair, along with Charlie Kirk."
There you go. Clueless.
Yeah. So, as we have stated before, absolutely evil.
Yeah.
But it's important for people to know, to constantly know what these even former major opinion makers, how their brain ticks.
Yep. Yep. When Kimmel joins him in his mom's basement, I guess that's going to be their first discussion. And they scream because their arrogance really carries them to believe that they are greater than what they are. Olbermann's been off the air for how long now?
Oh, I don't know.
Half a century? Mom, when was I last on TV? You're irrelevant. Keep talking. We want to know how you think, what you think. But there's a reason that the overwhelming majority of people don't care what you have to think. Don't tune in. Don't believe you're doing good work. Because you're not normal. The average person grieves in the wake of a death, especially an assassination. The nature of Charlie Kirk's assassination is horrific to think about, and people that never even met him and may not even know much about him grieve. You have to, that's what a normal society does. And these individuals who just want to keep throwing hate over and over and over again in the wake of this horrific assassination are proving everyone right that said along the way, including us, these people are absolutely radical and filled with hate themselves. It's why it's their first go-to. It's why they're always accusing the other side of being filled with hate. This is what's in their hearts, and they're proud of that.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, I love this. And it sort of got lost in everything, but we have to mention it.
Okay?
The Kamala Harris book.
All right.
And the fact that she really didn't want Tim Walz. But before we get into the meat and potatoes minutia of that, Noah Rothman National Review. The big news here is that somebody has read Kamala Harris's book. Secondary to that earth-shattering revelation is that in the book, Harris apparently exudes the condescension that shone through during her run for the White House and contributed to her failure to connect with a critical mass of American voters. The Atlantic's Jonathan Lemire reports that in Harris's campaign memoir, she admits that her first choice for president was her close friend Pete Buttigieg, but she didn't go with her instincts because it would be too big of a risk for a black woman to run with a gay man. Buttigieg, this is from the memoir, Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, Harris writes in the passage of her soon-to-be-released book, 107 Days. But we were already asking a lot of America to accept a black woman married to a Jewish man. Let me ask you this.
Who are you asking a lot of when it comes to being married to a Jewish man?
I mean,
it would be the left. That's where the anti-Semitism lives.
Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. Now, you didn't have a chance with any Republicans because of who you are, and what you stand for. That's why you lost.
Yeah.
You weren't going to get Republican support. You were losing it. Biden was losing it with you. By the way, weren't you vice president?
Right.
Did the Democrats, did they reject you in 2020? So who are these people? And we ask this because remember, when she never got to the first primary state, when she was running for president, she blamed, remember, this is the primary, she blamed again racism and sexism. And as we said at that point, she's saying Democrats are racist and sexist.
Right. It was the primary season. That was her party that rejected her.
It's written here by Nora Rothman. We must assume that at every step of the way along the path to you reading those words, not one person intervened to suggest that this was and represents an insult to the American people. Neither the author nor her editors, nor her publisher, nor her publicist, nor even the Atlantic's reviewer encountered a pang of conscience when disseminating this slight. The apparently unquestioned assumption underlying it is that you are either sexist, racist, or homophobic, maybe all three, with an exclamation mark. Even more galling is the degree to which this supposition has not encountered any dissent from the commentary class, who, for elusive reason, appears to think that they're exempt from the ugly verdict Harris rendered on the American people. Harris may have been right about this, former CNN host Chris Cillizza wrote of Harris's assumption that you're a hopeless chauvinist incapable of rational thought, but it also reflects a broader risk aversion strategy that plagued her campaign. Sure, that too, and yet among the factors contributing to her loss was her barely concealed contempt for the voters to whom she was trying to appeal. She didn't see it that way, nor apparently to her advisors and the press. For the rest of us, however, it was kind of hard to miss. Look, I look at this and say you have to take her in her totality about when she ran in the primary, and then you're not going to get Republicans to vote for you. That wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So what you're saying is independents, but mostly Democrats, are racist, homophobe, sexist.
Yep. Thanks for putting it in the book.
Right. Again, it's absolutely clear that Democrats themselves believe they are the party of racism, sexism, and homophobes.
Well, they clearly decided this with her campaign. As Democrats, what our presidential campaign is missing is an old white guy. Tim Walz. There you go.
Here's part of the analysis from Mark Halpern's podcast. Sean Spicer, Dan Turrentine, whatever. I've seen it pronounced both ways. But here it is. 2 out of the 3 are Democrats. Here we go.
It speaks incredibly poorly of Kamala Harris. I mean, she's now pooped on Joe Biden. Tim Walz looks terrible in this. Nothing says strength and leadership like I wish I could, but I couldn't because it didn't look right. I think. What was your? I mean, I mean, what
is her analysis? Was her analysis correct that it wouldn't?
No. I mean, I just
no.
Wait a second. Hold on.
She was indecisive, weak, and a wimp. Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And
forget
and
her VP.
Will people read this as she doesn't think he can win in general?
No.
No
I
one cares
says,
what Kamala Harris thinks.
I
Nobody in the party,
I
nobody
agree with
nationally.
Dan. Just to be clear, I agree with Dan. This says I have no fortitude. I won't do the right thing. I'm politically weak. And by the way,
I'm
what
not
does
repeating
it
what
say
Courtney
that
Martin put in there, but God, is it accurate?
But hold on.
Start
What does
proceeding
it
and
say
as
that
apply.
you picked Tim Walz over that guy? You thought he did a good job? Holy smokes, that's the biggest. If I were Pete Buttigieg, I would almost come out and be like, "Are you kidding me?"
I will say again, did anyone read this book for her before she turned it in? I mean, it's just the things we know so far, just the judgment, like whether she wants to run for president or not. It's all just whiny.
Well, and now just to be clear, from what we know, you've gone to war with the president who picked you and basically helped make you, and you've gone to war with the person you picked to be the vice presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Like, who are your allies?
Yeah.
Well, we said the last thing she should ever do is go on a speaking tour or write anything about what she believes, because her worst enemy is her opening her mouth or her mind about what she actually thinks.
Well, and this is it. I don't know if she's going to jump in 28 or not, because the question there by Halperin, or the the analysis there in part was the book is just whining. If she's going to run for 28, this is seems odd, because typically what you would see is if they're trying to regroup and thinking of coming back and running again, is you write one of those George Clooney-esque type books that makes you sound, of course, she would have to hire a number of ghostwriters, makes you sound intelligent because of the tone you're using, but you're actually saying nothing about ideas and things. She's throwing everybody under the bus and blaming the world. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean she's not running in 2028, because we're talking about Kamala Harris, somebody who I believe is clueless and has no idea how to even play the game. She wasn't selected by the voters. She was picked by Joe Biden. She was rejected by the voters and had to drop out in December 3rd, 2019, even before they reached 2020, because her campaign was in shambles. She had no money. I wonder, was Lindy Lee on board back then for the DNC and the fundraising and everything else? I wonder if she could share some insight back from 2019. I don't know. But I'd love to know some more of the inside story there. But not that I need it, but I'm just curious. We know, you and I look at it. We always say, all right, the donors are going to jump on board who they think are going to win. Now, early on, it's a number of them. And remember when Warren Buffett couldn't choose and he had to give equal amounts to Hillary and Obama in 2008. But you certainly know if you've run out of money by the beginning of December and you haven't even reached the real primary season and your campaign is in shambles, that's a rejection by your own party. That's a rejection by the people who said, yeah, okay, maybe as a senator, but no, not as president. Remember when, what's his name? Former mayor of New York City, Bill
de
Blasio, jumped in and wanted to run for president. And then there was almost this collective scream by the left, by the Democrats going, no,
get out.
No. They were all saying, no. No, wrong move. No, he thought he was a hero. And she did too. And again, keep in mind all along the way, remember when it was, and we played the audio from it, and it was Anderson Cooper talking to somebody. I forget who he was talking to, interviewing. And this would have been September of 23 when the interview took place. And he said, well, okay, if Joe Biden, Anderson Cooper, I'm paraphrasing, but if Joe Biden's going to stay in it, doesn't he need to change some, his choice on the ticket? Basically, implying very clearly that she was a liability on the ticket.
Well, that was the narrative.
Yes.
Throughout the fall.
Yep.
That she was a liability. Think about that. She was the liability to Biden.
That's right.
And you can make that argument now.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the entire thing too, because and then we said along the way, okay, if he drops out, he has to go with her because you can't leapfrog over her. You're going to get backlash, even though nobody in her own party, people in her own party rejected her already. It didn't matter. The imagery of doing that, you're not going to get away with that. And so he comes out, he steps down and endorses her, basically daring anybody else in his own party to endorse her. Remember how long it took? It took days before the Obamas came out, which should have happened, by the way, the moment the letter written clearly by Otto Penn supposedly by Biden, where he said, I'm, dropping out. The moment letter came out, there should have been because you make that announcement, but behind the scenes, you call everybody and say, we need your endorsement as soon as this hits. We need your endorsement as soon as this hits. It took days before the Obamas came out and endorsed her. And, of course, we know how it all went ultimately.
Well, I just love the fact that, and they make a great point. Dan Turntime makes a great point that Biden picked her.
Exactly. No, that was his choice.
Like
that was him.
Biden picked her. She's thrown him under the bus.
Yep.
She's thrown everybody under the bus.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Talk about being in the marketplace when we talk about Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert. I can't wait to find out how many books she sells.
Yeah.
Who wants to read the book?
Yeah, exactly.
All she's doing is burning down the Democratic Party, it seems.
Yeah.
Walz, Biden.
Right.
Democrat voters.
It's not like it's a tell-all either, where people would be curious, I've got to read this.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi, good morning. Welcome.
Hello.
Yesterday we got into a conversation. We just about finished it up at this time on yesterday's show, just about the Democrats' problem, the left's problem. They're not normal. Culturally, they're not normal when it comes to what we in Western civilization in the United States, the long-held beliefs that we have had. They're not normal in those beliefs at all. I mean, they're just off the deep end. And this reminded me of the conversation that we had yesterday. And we went point by point by point to say, this is Democrats, if you want to know what the problem is, this is what the problem is. You're not normal. Mm-hmm. And I saw this because Elon Musk responded to author Paul Embry from Great Britain, who wrote, I suspect that the whole trans madness will die out in around 5 years or so, having been finally debunked scientifically and logically. Then in years to come, the period 2018 through 2030 will be looked upon as a total aberration, a period when the political and cultural elites took leave of their senses and tried to impose a crackpot belief system that conflicted with everyday reality. The debate is only going one way, which at this moment it is. They're still sticking to their guns, but they're making no new ground on it. It's the same old, and it's easy to defeat. And then the first response was boomers saying, I can't believe I wore bell bottoms. Then Gen X, I can't believe I wore my hair like that. Millennials, I can't believe I was goth. Gen Z, I can't believe I cut my private parts off. It's like, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then someone else wrote, trans is a belief system akin to uncodified religions such as New Age, paganism, and some indigenous belief systems. Central is a metaphysical belief in what is called an intrinsic sense of self, being separate from physical fact. Religious beliefs are sometimes more enduring, which I thought was interesting. Well, that may be that. I think he's right on that. There are things that people believe, but it's a minority of people that believe it.
Yes.
The radical transgender movement, critical race theory, the belief that, racism it permeates throughout all of our society, and the fact of the radical transgender movement. Culturally, those are the two things you just can't sell. We talked about this yesterday. You can't sell it to people.
Right.
You can't sell it to people because of what they experience in their individual communications with other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't.
Right.
You can't anymore. 100 years ago, 80 years ago, yeah, racism you could.
Yeah.
Obviously you could. But we said the problem with Democrats, we actually put it this way, is that they are taking positions that people know that are self-evident are not true.
Yeah.
That's the problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through all the entire list. We've often said, how will the history books look back at this particular time that we're in?
Yeah.
Because you make the case, these are 80-20 issues.
Mm-hmm.
As we know. You're not going to have the same indoctrination. That's gone now for a while. Everything returns eventually, but it's gone right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been, and it will be tested. I mean, that's the entire thing too. When you look at it, one of the things talked about in abortion all the time is as we get more, as science becomes better, as we learn new things, it's very tough to convince somebody that it's just a mass of cells and not something you should be concerned with.
Right.
And that aren't related to a human being at all, in order to justify the fact that of abortion in our society.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the radical transgender movement. You look at the whole concept of that racism is worse than it's ever been before. You had liberals saying that. Just a couple of there's some are still saying it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, people know that's not true.
Right.
They know it's not true. They know it's not true because of their individual reactions, how they are treated when they go out in society. It's just not true anymore. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I'll never forget when it was like, well, the old people, they're just not used to all, everything that's going on and the new ways of thinking. And I've always brought up the case, for God's sakes, in the 70s, punk came out in new wave.
Mm-hmm.
One of the places I used to go to, I've mentioned it before, was a place called the Continental in Buffalo. It was like the CBGBs of New York City, punk and new wave and everything else.
Right.
You went in there and you could look at it and go, oh, all right, it's Friday night at the circus. How you doing? What's going on? Whatever. Nobody was on anybody's case. And there was everybody from construction workers to guys in dresses and remember the Mohawk?
Oh, yeah.
Mega
punk, yeah.
Mega Mohawks. I was having the discussion with my conservative buddies the other day about hanging out there. It's like, was there any anger that we had towards anybody? It was like, well, no. Did everybody look at somebody who came in a new fashion where you just went, whatever that fashion would be, and went, nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And did we move on from that error? Yes, we did. But was it serious as a cultural issue, or was it more pop culture at that point? I guess would be the question.
Well, men living as women in pop culture has been tried a number of times. I think of the rock band Poison. You know what they?
Oh my gosh!
What they called the gender bending back then.
Well, it was
one of the. I forget which album it was, but I wasn't the biggest Poison fan. But my gosh, the entire cast of The View doesn't wear that much makeup. Kiss didn't wear that much makeup. Boy,
the whole thing was like. I remember because it was like people like, well, you don't understand the whole gender bending thing. You're just too old. We grew up with David Bowie.
That's right. Exactly.
What the hell you talking about?
Kidding me? Right. You know, it's the thing is that, but the left isn't. They used to say the word acceptance, and that. Well, the other side is intolerant. Well, it's not tolerance you're looking for.
No, it was never tolerance.
It was never acceptance.
No.
What it was
agreement.
Was not just agreement, but also activism. Oh, yeah. You need to be marching in our parade. You need to be rioting in our riot. You need to be protesting what we're protesting.
Therefore, it evolved into silence is violence.
Exactly.
If you don't agree with us, you're committing an act of violence.
Yep.
You look at all these things, and it'd be interesting, to look back 100 years from now. We're not going to be able to do that, Eric. Yeah. In fact, nobody listening will be able to do it 100 years from now. Well, my dad, he'll probably still be walking around. He'll still be,
yeah.
But I look at it more in the sense of, where do the Democrats go? And I was thinking about this during the top of the hour break, that what gave energy and life to the Republican Party really was Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You needed a new figure. You needed a new personality to come in there. And it wasn't just a personality. I mean, he is a personality.
No doubt.
He has his unique style. But he wasn't built on just a slogan. He's not an Obama.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Obama. Right. Kumbaya, Obama. Shut up.
Yeah.
People of Pennsylvania hang on to their God and their guns. Good God. It's like him trying to. And the great thing is, the interesting thing is, I saw it. He said it the other day. I just ignored it because, to me, I think he means nothing. And I saw a couple of people bring it up, going, "Well, he's full of crap." He was the biggest divider out there. And I thought, yeah, you can make that case, as I'm just doing right here. But the fact is, when it really comes down to it, even Democrats don't care what Obama has to say anymore.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It was almost like, oh,
George Clooney doesn't care anymore.
A mosquito. Well, nobody cares what George Clooney thinks anymore.
Mutual disadmiration.
It was funny because I just completely, until I saw a couple of things today where a few people run and go, Obama? I went, I've just dismissed him completely. And it's wrong as a talk show host to do that, because it is important to bring up what somebody, a past president, has to say and then analyze it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, Obama's almost become, to me, like, nobody's paying attention to you, dude. Right. And then I just move on, and I thought about it today. I'm like, oh, okay, there is some commentary on that should be said.
Right, yeah.
But not too much. Because nobody cares. Democrats don't even care what Obama has to say. And when you think about it, when you go back to 2008 and remember how the stadium in Denver looked like a Greek Coliseum?
Yeah.
And then remember Grant Park in Chicago afterwards, the adulation, and remember you and I having to go through the videos, which were extremely entertaining, because they were dumb and they were stupid. It shows you, Obama really gives an indication of how stupid Americans can be.
Yeah.
Because remember the pledge?
Oh, yeah.
And then remember the chant? Obama. The Obama song, Obama. And then actually Hollywood celebrities telling you the things that they were going to do because Obama was in office. Who was the rapper who said, I used to keep my lights on all the time, but now that Obama is president, I'm going to turn off my lights.
That would be P. Diddy.
Was that P. Diddy who did that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's an endorsement you want in 2025, isn't it?
Exactly, right. Yeah, maybe you should have kept the lights on.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? The lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when I'm only going to flush when I take a number one, not when I
or number two. Yeah.
Not
when I do not a number one.
Yeah, not a number one. Right.
Yeah.
Just a deuce. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, geez. Well,
and then
thank you, rocket scientist.
And then as he's saying Barack's full name, he's kissing both of his biceps.
Yes. Remember that? And so I would actually go back further. I would say, let's take from 2008 to 2030 and look at that time period. But who is it? But Trump came in and, yes, he was a personality.
Yeah.
But that's not why he was elected.
Right.
He was elected because of specific things that he said needed to be corrected, and he had been talking about them for 40 years before he ever ran for president.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the left and you just say, where is it? Who is that person, and how can they, if it's true, as the author from Great Britain wrote, I suspect that the whole trans madness will die out in around 5 years or so, having been finally debunked scientifically and logically. Then in years to come, the period 2018 to 2030 will be looked upon as a total aberration, a period when a political and cultural elites took leave of their senses and tried to impose a crackdown belief system that conflicted with everyday reality. The debate is only going one way. It is, and I agree with it, we're completely different than when we were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When you think about the blue wave of intimidation that convinced sports leagues, businesses, industries, DEI, all that.
Yep.
We are different, but they're not. They're worse. They're just not in power. How do they change it? How do the Democrats change it? Who changes it? You and I could look and say, these are the possibilities over the next 5 years in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
These are the people.
Right.
I can't tell you who that is for the Democrats.
I really don't know, and because for all the reasons, right? We brought up Governor Shapiro. Well, clearly, he wasn't the choice of Kamala Harris. He's not the choice of the party. I don't know who it is. Oh, Tim Walz.
By the way, did she make the case that because she's married to a Jewish man, that's why she couldn't pick Shapiro?
Also pick a Jewish Veep candidate, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Sounds like it to me.
See?
Wow.
The racist, we know who they are.
Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You look at what's gone on over the last 9 days. I mean, the funeral for Charlie Kirk is tomorrow in Arizona, and you think about it because I think you had said something like it the other day, which really sort of matched what the Babylon Bee their headline was, where you look at a Babylon Bee and you say, well, that's not too far. And it's people okay with murder outraged by TV show cancellation. You think about that, and the thing is, in social media, people have actually seen this assassination, and many people up close.
Yeah.
And the way that the media has treated this as almost just an event, just another event that happens out there.
Right.
And you look at, where this is going to lead us. There is it's been said, it's been used, as you and I said, well, both sides need to, and we're like, well, that's just being used by the left because they know that their rhetoric has been out of control.
Yeah.
You know, Dick Durbin actually came out, though. We were amazed when Dick Durbin came out and said, well, we need to stop calling Trump a Nazi because he's not. But really, only Fetterman, if you think about it, has actually done an interview where he's been specific on the things the Democrats need to stop.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Nobody else is.
Nope. And it's, again, and I know, I think Fetterman means it. He knows it. He knows what his own party needs to do, but I wonder how much he believes it can happen. I have zero confidence. If in this moment they're doubling down with every day, the radicals, then it's not going to happen. If in the wake of such a horrific assassination, there's not going to be change, then there will never be change.
Yeah. They're going to have a hard time getting new recruits. That's going to be tougher for them.
That will be the difference of the growth of the party. The radicals will remain. The question is, will they be at some point isolated from the rest of the party?
And can the party, because can the party reject that?
Right. Can they separate themselves from the radicals? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. We're here nightly. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
And we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. For example, I'm looking this here, Politico. Post-Kimmel, Dems could change the cancel culture narrative. It's not clear how Democrats will translate this relatively united front into an electoral strategy. That's pure horse manure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just pure horse manure. I mean, it's just... Look, cancel culture, what I viewed cancel culture was if somebody said something and they were a teenager, and now they're 40, and people want them canceled for something that they did back then. It's not being held accountable for the things that you say today as an adult.
Right.
And so that's number one. Number two, the Democrats live on cancel culture. They don't want debate. In order for the Democrats to say we actually don't believe in cancel culture, they'd have to be willing to debate.
Well, the most extreme of the cancel culture is the cancellation of a life, is it not?
Yeah. Yeah, great point. Yep.
That not only do you not want this person to have a forum, you want them to not exist. So, sorry, left, but don't preach to me about cancel culture when somebody's failing TV show gets canceled.
Look, I know where the right stands on freedom of speech. We saw it the other day when Pam Bondi put out her statement. That was universal across the board.
Yeah.
That was completely united by every. I didn't see one conservative come out and say, we stand with Pam Bondi. I didn't see one.
No, because everyone was, right now, I think everyone, all the conservatives are, especially in that moment, looking at the spirit of and the nature of the mission statement by Charlie Kirk. And that worked against his own mission statement.
Right. And that's why the one thing I hope is, you don't have to hit we've done, we understand you've done it enough, where the president implies he may do something that he never does. Because that's where we are right now. That's what the debate, we know that the Democrats will cancel you using the government. We know that they will censor you. We know that they will punish you. We saw it during COVID. We know it.
Yep.
We know that they will attempt to destroy your life through the government if you don't agree with the official narrative of the government.
Yep.
What you're getting right now, anybody on the right or the administration, except for Pam Bondi, who was, again, universally condemned by the right, MAGA, you named it. Everybody said, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
What you're getting from the right, and the left is this fake outrage, is, well, you're implying you may do something, and that's bad enough. And then the right saying, yeah, but you did it.
Right.
You
Exactly.
actually did it.
Exactly.
Trump hasn't done it. I mean, but that's where you are, and we use the most perfect example after going into Washington, and the Democrats went crazy. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's unconstitutional. Oops, it is constitutional. Never mind. Yeah, but he said he may do the same with Chicago. And then he didn't do the same with Chicago.
Right.
He sent in ICE. Then Memphis. I think we'll go into Memphis. He's going to militarize. And we saw what he did in Memphis.
Right. A task force
with the permission
of the
governor
of the governor of the state.
Right.
It's and sometimes I do believe he's trolling.
Yes, he is trolling.
But I agree with that method. Typically, trolling is like, okay, that's a kind of a social media thing. And while he uses social media, for him, it's not a social media thing. I'm convinced he realizes, let's see what their reaction is when I just mention it versus what I'm actually going to do. You would think that they would learn. They don't learn from anything.
But when he says it, even if you're somebody who's an independent, what you're saying is this situation is so bad. Tell me whether I'm wrong on this analysis of because I was thinking about this the other day. Some independents, we know he's trolling,
yeah,
and so it's like, okay, he's trolling again. But an independent looks at it and says, at times I can't stand Trump, but something. The crime is really bad in these cities, and these people are suffering, and he's frustrated. So, yeah, he may say he's going to do something, but what he actually does is what he can do within the law and using the federal government to cooperate, to do what he can do under federal authority, which is ICE. And in Memphis, you see what he actually did, not what he said maybe out of frustration, but what he actually, put into action. And it's completely and totally 100% constitutional because he wants to stop this crime. And the same thing with the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. It's like Charlie Kirk got murdered. This is exactly what everybody in America claims they want. They want debate. He did debate. He got killed for debating.
Yeah.
And then they all jump on, and this is where it is, because, but then they all jump on and say that he said this. Well, he didn't say this. Then they claim he said this, and he didn't say that. The problem with the Democrats, besides what we said yesterday, they lie about things that are self-evident, and people, figure it out completely. But also they lie about what people say. They lied about what Trump said. That's where you get converts, and we use the example of the actor Michael Rappaport, who was livid when he realized I've been being lied to. Trump never said these things. And the same thing now they're doing with Charlie Kirk, where you're going to get more converts from the other side saying, well, Charlie was great. You had Bill Maher, for example.
Mm-hmm.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Right.
I disagreed with him on things, but who doesn't? That's why I think that's the dumbest thing ever. We said it last week, beginning of this week. Well, I didn't always agree. I don't agree with anybody all the time, not even myself. Right. I debate myself constantly in my head.
Yep.
How many times have I come on the air saying, I'm working this through my head right now, and I got this one thought over here and this one thought over here, and I'm not sure about this and that and this and that.
Oh, I do and say things that I highly disagree with all the time.
But we're debating ourselves. We're debating other people. We're debating the ideas. We're debating the Democrats. We debate at times Republicans in a public forum, because that's what we do as Americans. Mm-hmm. If there's anything that's American, it's that we debate. The people that I've met over the years that come even from Europe, they go, we're really amazed. We read your newspapers and it seems like there's always a civil war going on because everybody's arguing with everybody. Then you come over here and you realize, oh, that's just what you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
You guys debate, and it's a healthy debate.
Yeah.
And there isn't a group think.
Right.
I've heard this so much from people from other countries who say, I love the United States because there's not a group think.
Because in that group think, within that group think, and I have a friend who lives in Germany, and she was over here for quite a while. And when she was leaving to go back home, she talked about that, because she even talked about being, she said afraid, but I would, you feel intimidated. She felt intimidated, clearly, to express her own opinion. And she also talked about the economy and the way the economy runs and everything else. She said, it's nothing like it is here in the United States. You're free to say what you want to say, mm-hmm. have an opinion, and people, you might get disagreement. But in a system, in a groupthink system, well, the mob rules, and they're going to come down on you if you disagree with them.
And we had the worst I've ever seen in 2020 and 2021 here.
Yeah.
It didn't faze us. We could care less.
Right. But we did feel, I know you agree with this, we felt at that time isolated because it was so huge.
Yes, we did. It didn't
and
stop
we know
us.
Conservatives were with us and conservative talk radio.
Yeah.
But it was mind-boggling to see it. And I'm grateful, thank God, it burned out. Because it was based on lies, so it was always going to fail. The question is, how long would it take to fail?
All I had to do was tap into my teenage stubbornness that if authority told me one thing, I was going to do another.
Exactly.
I tapped into that.
Well,
I realized I was still.
But because it became, and think about that. If you think about, because you mentioned earlier the laptop December 2019, December of 2019, when they found it, which was a month or two before COVID is breaking in the U.S.
Yeah.
Now think about those two, the correlations there of controlling conversation, controlling the narrative on both fronts simultaneously. It was the same machine doing it. It was the left that was doing it, and it was, if you think about the rot inside of deep state at that time and what was going on of controlling the message. You couldn't talk laptop, you couldn't talk lab leak.
Lab or laps were off.
Yeah, labs and laps. Nope.
Sorry.
Can't
talk about that.
And that was the reality. I mean, New York Post on the laptop. And I remember just being so confounded by that, going, if they're wrong, it's on the New York Post.
Yeah.
And they lose a ton of credibility.
But that was
but you couldn't have that, and that page sat there frozen. I remember going to their page over and over again to see if they were able to come back on.
I remember sitting in, I don't know why, I think we talked that day on the phone. I remember sitting in the front room of my house with my phone, my laptop. I'm trying to see who's getting through on X, but that was October of 2020. So you had the whole laptop thing.
Yeah.
You had still the whole Black Lives Matter lie, that police departments are systemically racist to hunt down and kill blacks, which is a lie. There's no systemic racism. Is there racism? Of course there is. Systemic is a completely different ballgame, and as we have stated, if you want systemic or institutionalized racism, it's inside the Democratic Party through identity politics.
And has been for ages.
And you can't debate it because it's Democrats themselves that talk about that problem of identity politics, which is what? You judge people by groups and not individuals. That's a fact.
Yep.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Yep.
Through observation. So that was still there. Then the laptop, then at the same time, think about that, because I think that's probably when you and I were going, whoa, man, this is just amazing. The blue wave of intimidation. Then the Great Barrington Declaration came out.
Yeah.
And that sent the left absolutely crazy. There could be no debate. And the Great Barrington Declaration, Dr. Buttigieg and everybody else that was involved in that, you and I read it on the air and said, there's nothing radical here. It was almost, think about this, it was almost all discussion.
Yes.
All discussion to try to find out the truth.
Right.
About a virus.
Right.
The government didn't want it.
Nope.
And
They
it was,
shut it down.
when you say deep state, it's because it was the government underneath Trump. Trump didn't want it.
No.
It was the bureaucracy, which is referred to as the deep as the concept of the deep state.
Right. The one and same movement and set of players that were part of the Russian hoax.
Yeah, exactly. 866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. So, I mean, that's where we are, and you look at it, and nothing right now favors Democrats.
No.
The only thing that that could favor them, and it's not because they could do anything about it, would be where's the economy next year. That's it.
Right.
But we brought up the whole thing about identity politics. We'll show you with the Kamala Harris thing by what Pete Buttigieg said, how he knows that identity politics is wrong, judging people by groups and not individuals.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, someone actually read the Kamala Harris book and commented on it and has been putting excerpts out on it from The Atlantic, which has people extremely shocked that somebody was actually reading the book. But
I'll tell you this, someone lost a coin toss.
She's throwing everybody under the bush. You know, she went after Biden. Her first choice was not Tim Walz. She didn't want Tim Walz. She wanted Pete Buttigieg, but he's gay, and she's a black woman married to a Jewish man, and America would reject a black woman married to a Jewish man with a gay running mate. So, Buttigieg responded to her saying that, saying he was surprised to read that passage, and where she said the proper running mate would have been, the ideal partner would have been a straight white man. Buttigieg. My experience in politics has been that the way you earn trust with voters is based mostly on what they think you're going to do for their lives, not on categories.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
So Pete Buttigieg is completely rejecting the identity politics, which is the racism of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Because categories means everything to the Democratic Party.
Right. Wow.
See, this is where we say they make our points for us.
Yeah.
We've been saying that for years. There's Buttigieg saying, stop it. Stop putting people in categories. It's what we do. Somebody's got to question her. Oh, my gosh. Did she start the book tour yet? Because is anybody going to ask her serious questions on it? Like, well, is that why you said that you didn't want to pick Buttigieg because he was gay and that you are a black woman married to a Jewish person? Is that why you didn't pick Josh Shapiro? And by stating this and combining it with what you said when you dropped out a few years ago, were the first out before the first primary, and stated the reason you dropped out was due to sexism and racism, and a primary is just the people in your party or people that decide to vote in your primary because they prefer you. Are you admitting that your party is a party of racism and identity politics? And then by saying that you have to pick certain categories, are you admitting you're about identity politics? Will anybody... Now, that's the first question that came to my mind out of what the news was yesterday. And even when, that wouldn't have been the first question when she rejected Biden. But the best thing we said, she was right on one thing, where she said Biden threw her under the bus.
Yeah.
By putting her as the border czar because they really didn't want to solve the problem.
Right.
It's like, oh, my God. It's like it's almost quoting what
we
said.
We all knew it. And we said it at that time.
She goes, it wasn't
Here,
fixable.
you handle this.
You can't say it's not fixable because Trump did it.
Yeah. Oh, we saw that it's very fixable. It could have been done in a matter of days. Well, first of all, it could have been prevented in the first place, by not opening the border. But yeah, we saw it. We knew at that time. Man.
I do like this one, though. This story also came out yesterday. Politico had it. Moments before a make-or-break debate with Donald Trump, Kamala Harris got an unexpected phone call. It was a peeved Joe Biden demanding to know why she had been bad-mouthing him to donors. The call left Harris rattled at a critical moment in her abbreviated campaign and highlighted her at times strained relationship with her boss. Oh, the book was released yesterday. Okay, I didn't know it was released yesterday.
That's okay. Neither did anyone else.
And I love this statement. Are you ready for this one?
All right.
Because this is after Biden called her. Why are you bad-mouthing me? Oh, my gosh. My head had to be right. I had to be completely in the game, she recalled. I just couldn't understand why he would call me right now and make it all about himself. Apparently, you didn't know Joe Biden.
Did you not know Joe Biden? What? How dare he make it about himself? What did he not make it about himself? I mean, it was, my gosh. Well, when I say clueless, it's that bad. I can't believe he made it about himself. That it's if there's any thought to running in 2028, this is a horrible start.
You know, the thing is, though, all she's doing is complaining. And you know what? My first question. Let me just read some of this, okay? Because
okay.
all right.
You
just so you understand where I'm coming from when I make the comment. Harris recounts in 107 days her account of her failed sprint to illustrate what she portrays. As an at-times strained relationship with Biden before and after his decision to abruptly abandon his reelection effort. Harris wrote she felt warmth and loyalty towards Biden, but that their relationship was tested leading up to the election, including with the phone call ahead of the September debate when he accused her of criticizing him to power brokers in Philadelphia. Why is he asking that? Biden's call came moments before a pivotal juncture of her campaign. Harris detailed the pressure she felt to perform well in the debate against Trump, likening the moment to a prize fight. Harris detailed her struggle to distance herself from Biden, acknowledging she took too much time before realizing his negative impact on her candidacy. She was criticized during the campaign for saying in an interview with ABC's The View that she couldn't think of anything she would have done differently from Biden during his 4 years in office. She pushed back on claims from Republicans that those close to Biden were covering up an incapacity to perform the presidency. She said the president was overworked in the lead up to his disastrous debate performance and blamed his top aides for pushing him to run for re-election despite his age. As we know now from everybody talking about it, we know now he did not have the cognitive abilities. Then why did you accept the nomination? You just said no.
Right.
She just said no, let it go to the primary. If you didn't want to be tied to him, look, no matter what, if J.D. Vance runs, which of course he is, he's going to be tied to Trump. You can't stop that. You're tied to the person. You are tied to the person who was your president.
Right.
You don't know that in politics? It's like she's blaming everyone, but the fact is, if I was put in a position, or if you were put in a position that you were tied to the complete insanity and incompetence of the previous administration, I wouldn't run.
Right.
I'd say, nope, I may come back, but I'm different from Joe Biden. And I need to let people know over the next few years because I was fulfilling his agenda, which was not my agenda, right? That's is money a problem for her? I don't think so.
As far as I know, it's not.
No, you go out and you give speeches. You go out and give speeches for the next few years of how you're going to be different than Joe Biden. And then you say, in fact, I don't think this is a fair way to do it so late. I think we should have a mini primary.
Right.
You do everything above board to increase your popularity, to distance yourself from that person. It's almost as if she's just like, I just ended up here by accident. None of these decisions are my own. Everybody around me sucks.
I've said a couple of times over in recent years that every time she speaks, it's like somebody asked her last minute to get up there and say something. What?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did say that. Yep.
You want me to? Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, and now that same attitude is coming through her book. Well, it's just, I can't believe, and Joe, and, and it's, like she's not even aware. It's not even that she's not aware, just, the fact that she's not aware of the moment. She's not aware of things that have already happened, seemingly. Well, that's the definition of clueless. Please, Democrats, convince her to run again. Please. I'm begging you.
Well, we knew this would happen because she is her own worst enemy. She can't talk. She doesn't have a conversation. She doesn't, it's not, say what you want. Say whatever you want about Trump or the Republicans. Trump speaks his mind.
Yeah.
They're not sitting there. Most Republicans, there are some, but most Republicans, the vast majority of Republicans, don't walk around saying, I'm not sure what I'm going to say here on the debate because I don't know where the people stand.
Mm-hmm.
What she is saying is, I was running for president of the United States and I was in control of nothing.
Yeah.
I couldn't control my own campaign.
I don't even know how it happened.
I had to have loyalty to the person before.
Yeah.
I don't know how this happened. I don't know how I got here. And it's everybody else's fault.
Right.
And you wonder why you lost.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I don't even know if I approve this message.
Right. You're right. Just amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Just completely clueless. Yeah. I know analysts are still looking at the Democrats in 2028, and okay, who's that going to be? Show me who that's going to be. Clearly Buttigieg thinks it's going to be him. But it's, again, point to the viable candidate. Everything's pointing to Newsom. I mean, a lot of people have been pointing to Newsom.
Because there's no one else.
Because there isn't anyone else.
Right.
Newsom, Buttigieg, 2028.
Two white guys.
There you go. Yep.
Two white guys, and don't mention the gay.
Right, exactly.
Because Kamala says it won't work.
Right. It's, again, you're putting together what you have left. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
So the two white guys talking about diversity is the answer.
Exactly. We need more diversity. And I promise to appoint, but you yourself aren't. Yeah, but I'm going to appoint. That's what Joe Biden did.
I know.
When people were asking him, who is your VP, who's going to be your running mate? I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a black woman.
866-98 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. If your motor carrier does allow you to use cruise control, you should only use it in good driving conditions during daylight hours and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. During all of these driving scenarios, you want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. In other news, this story's just weird. The Pentagon is pushing back hard against an NBC News report alleging military leaders were weighing a new recruitment drive connected to the legacy of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson told Fox News Digital the report was 100% wrong, blasting NBC for publishing false claims based on anonymous sources. This is not happening, yet fake news NBC published this report as if it were true using anonymous sources with no knowledge of what the recruitment task force at the not the Pentagon. They said the Department of War is working on.
Mm-hmm.
The Pentagon also released the official statement. I guess you can still call it the Pentagon. Pentagon also released the original statement it gave to NBC, in which the chief spokesperson, Sean Parnell, accused the media of inventing lies about recruitment efforts in an attempt to undermine the administration. The media is so desperate to attack this administration's success that they're now inventing lies, Parnell said. Under the strong leadership of President Trump and Secretary Hegseth, men and women are coming out in droves to serve this great nation. From what I know, I mean, the recruitment levels are up, right?
Yeah, they certainly were in the first few months. I know, as of the first few months, they were up. I'm guessing that trend is continuing. I haven't heard where there's been any change in that. But since Trump has been back in office, actually, the trend started before. It was after the election, but before he actually took office, recruiting was up.
You know, you and I have talked a lot about, sources and using source stories. And I told you my philosophy when I was a station manager and over a news department that actually had a great investigative division, small division, but they were really good.
Right.
And we used sources a couple of times, and my only rule was you got to have two, and you can never be wrong.
Right.
If you're wrong, you can't do it. We're not doing it again.
Right.
And it was that simple. That's how serious we took it, because when you tell the public that something is true based on the sources, but you can't tell them who the sources are, in the end, you've got to be right. You cannot be wrong in that. And by the way, we're not just looking at one side. We said the same thing when Brett Baer did it back in 2016.
Mm-hmm. And he got it wrong. He got
he got it wrong, exactly. And anyone on the right who uses sources, and it's not a right versus left thing. It's journalistic integrity.
Yeah.
And it's just the standard. And we know from Russia collusion, we know there were just people feeding whatever. And the networks were taking it and putting out source stories that were completely wrong. But see, they don't care about the credibility. They just want that first impression, because that's what political activists do.
That's what they're aiming for.
You get that first impression. It doesn't matter whether the story's wrong. You see it now. You see the polling. The ABC poll, 87% of Democrats believe that Trump is a fascist.
Right. Because the activists have kept screaming it. Then you're going to convince people of it. Some.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Just reading something here from the Washington Times. A House Oversight Committee hearing briefly devolved into chaos Thursday when Representative Tlaib accused the federal crime-fighting surge in the district as a fascist takeover. See? They're not going to give it up.
No, this is all they've got, but it's also how they think. They don't have any tactics that are based in truth. What you have to do is build the fear in the minds of others that Trump is going to kidnap you off the street.
Yeah. And then others like Robert Garcia, the Democrat, was hitting the crimes in the White House.
Yeah.
They don't actually wish to address it, which brings us back to the question before, because I've been, since day one, I think the day after the election, I think I said it the first time, the most fascinating political story to me is how Democrats will attempt to come back. And they're not.
Mm-hmm. No, they're not going to change. Yeah. And I believe there's a true erosion of the party. Now, certainly in 2024, you can look at those numbers and say that is the case. The question is, does it continue? I think you can make a strong case. I believe it is happening. I think in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it adds to that erosion. And it's, because you mentioned the economy, which is going to be, it always rules in any political cycle, any election cycle. If people are struggling, that's a problem. And whoever is in charge is responsible for either fixing it, not fixing it, the blame, or whatever you want to call it. But politically, that's how it works. But it's gone so far overboard. I don't know what a 2026 midterm looks like. Because one thing is for sure, at least historically, if you can apply any historic data here, people don't show up to the polls at midterms like they do in presidential cycles. They don't. I don't know if that'll be the case in 26, but if it is, the Democrats, I was going to say they have a lot of work to do. I don't know what work that would be. There is no changing the radical left. The party would have to come out and proactively sever itself from those radicals. I don't see that happening. They're doing the opposite. They're embracing Mamdani. They're doubling down. The radicals own the party. I don't see it changing. In my lifetime, I don't see it reversing. I see, again, some rank and file falling off, but I can't quantify that. You can only quantify it after each election cycle.
Betsy McCauley's column in the New York Post. Mamdani ratchets up the rhetoric as Albany leaders fall at his feet. As Mamdani flexes his front-runner status in the final 7 weeks, he's not moderating to ensure his win, but reveling in his leftism. Despite the business community's efforts to build bridges with him, Mamdani is ratcheting up his anti-capitalist rhetoric, equating profit with greed, and rolling out plans for massive tax hikes, all while refusing to say who might serve in his administration. Last week, he laid out his radical two-pronged tax hike plan in an appearance at Columbia University, saying he'll be raising the top corporate tax rate to 11.5% and raising New York City's personal income tax rate on the top 1% by 2%. Up to now, such pledges were pipe dreams. New York's mayor has no power to raise such taxes without the consent of the state legislature and Governor Kathy Hochul for months had expressively opposed his tax hike plans. Yet on Sunday, she endorsed Mamdani in a simpering statement that put all their disagreements in past tense. That ended any hope that she'll safeguard New York from these tax increases. Hochul is redefining her priorities, genuflecting to the left as she reads the polls. Affordability has long been my top priority as governor, and it is number one concern I share with Mr. Mamdani. What a fool. Tax hikes will accelerate the exodus of businesses and citizens, dooming New York to become the evacuation state rather than the empire state. Mamdani has Hochul in a headlock. If he wins, she will have to do whatever he demands as she navigates her own reelection bid next year against challenges from her left flank and rising discontent. Upstate New York City will pay the price. Mm-hmm. But it's what they want.
If they choose that, that's what they're going to get.
It seems the polls show this is what the citizens want.
Right.
They wish to destroy the city of New York.
Right.
11.5% corporate tax on top of the federal tax. Do they have a state corporate tax in New York?
I'm assuming they do. I actually don't know.
Yeah, I will check here.
Wow. Yeah. What they're saying is, we want your business.
Let me see. New York has a state corporate franchise tax for businesses that do businesses, employ capital, or own or lease property in the state. The rates and rules depend on factors such as income and receipts. As of 2025, the state corporate tax rate is 7.25% for corporations with income of $5 million or more. Lower rates such as 6.5% apply to corporations with lower incomes. Corporations generally pay a franchise tax based on the highest of several calculated options, the tax on their entire net income, the fixed dollar amount, tax which ranges from $25,000 to $200,000 depending on the corporation's New York State receipts. Preferential tax rates are available for certain businesses, including qualified manufacturers and small businesses. Well, if you're talking about some of the companies, and you're talking about investment in banking and everything in New York, the financial capital of the world.
Yeah.
So if they make over $5 million, boom, 7.25% plus 11.5%. Wow.
Yeah.
Plus, what is it? 21%?
21.
21?
Mm-hmm.
Almost 40%.
Yep.
They're gone.
How can you afford to stay?
They're gone.
And we've seen the revenue dropping in New York State. We've seen that tax revenue dropping. Why is that? Because people and businesses are leaving. So let's do more.
So right now, financial corporations pay a 9% tax rate. Some corporations, standard rate for other corporations, pay 8.85%.
On the state level.
Unlike the federal system, New York City does not recognize the flow-through tax status of S corporations and taxes them at the corporate level. There you go. Wow. It's really amazing. They want people to go. You know, the thing is, and people just say, well, you know, they're rich, they can afford it. You and I remember the whole Phil Mickelson thing when he was in California, he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And you and I figured out what he would lose over the period of 10 years. And I think we came up to like something between $75 and $100 million.
Right.
It would cost him because of their 13% state tax. And it's like, you don't understand. Doesn't matter whether you're making, you know, and we figured he was making, I think about $100 million a year at that point. Yeah. Because we based on $100 million, based on everything, his endorsements and everything at that particular time. And then we calculated that out, or if it was 80 million, whatever, but it was 13%, that came to, over a 10-year period, $100 million.
Right.
You sit there and think that because somebody is worth, I don't know, $400 million, and they're making $100 million, that over a 10-year period, they just want to give away $100 million?
Right.
Are you nuts?
Nope.
No, they'll stay. Again, you're delusional about how economics works. What's the incentive there?
Well, again, exactly. What's the incentive? And everyone knows there is that tipping point. The left is pushing it further and further and further. For every company, it depends on the level of the company or the individual. There is that threshold. Because, again, at some point, you can't afford to stay. Or you won't afford to stay. They'll say, well, the left has it. The left, the rich have it. Well, that's not the point, whether they have it. It's, are they going to keep it? And if you look at Mickelson in that scenario, look at what you could do over a 10-year period with well over $100 million.
Well, remember, he was trying to buy at that point. He was trying to become part owner of the San Diego Padres. And we had said, it's like, you know, just because you're making $100 million, and so you figure out that the taxes you're going to have to pay in the state, at up to $100 million.
Right.
And if you go to Florida or Texas, it's zero.
Right.
Over a 10-year period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, there's no incentive for him to move. No. Because he's going to keep it. Well, you're one of the 3 lowest levels of IQ at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Moron, idiot. And imbecile.
Yeah. Idiot is lowest. Yeah.
Idiot's lowest.
Imbecile is in the middle.
Right. And then moron.
Moron is the smartest of those 3.
Yeah, people don't know that.
I'm a complete moron.
So if Eric calls me a moron, he's actually complimenting me.
Yeah.
That's right.
And again, that kind of math on top of the lawfare that's been going on. If they're willing to go after Donald Trump, they'll come after you and with baseless charges.
Well, the thing is, because Mandami's there, that's like, okay, legislature's going to go along with him. They never wanted to do it before, but now they're going to do it there, and it will encourage them to raise taxes on other New Yorkers.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, we're doing it in New York. Now, okay, we seem to be everybody. If Democrats are going, this guy has said, I'm going to raise taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you everything, and it's working in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, then let's try it for the rest of the state.
Yep. No, I think that's the plan.
These people have the Kevin Bacon Animal House syndrome.
Right.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Power in numbers as well.
Yeah.
Look, if we all, Hochul's like, just kind of biting her lip on the whole thing, but knows that, okay, then fine. We'll just go this route. And I hope to leverage my power with this as well.
I was teasing one of my New York friends yesterday on this whole thing. Well, you're going to stay in. Wow, you're going to have to pay more taxes. Didn't seem to be in as jolly a mood as I was bringing it up to him.
Not that this is an invite, but in the great state of Texas, they're still lowering property taxes.
And there is, a couple of blocks left.
Yeah.
If you want to move here.
It might cost you, but not in taxes.
There is some open land here still.
A little bit.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Why? Well, because our show ends in an hour. And when our show ends, it becomes our podcast. We record all 5 hours, and so if you miss any of the show, you can catch it on our Red Eye Radio app. And if for some reason during the show you can't listen to one of our great radio stations, which is the preferred way, we'd rather have you listen to our radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
We thank them so much for carrying our show. But if for some reason you can't, you can listen on our Red Eye Radio app because we stream all 5 hours live. Coming up, more on Jimmy Kimmel. The funeral for Charlie Kirk is tomorrow. Also, did you see, major restaurant tests smaller portion menu at reduced prices nationwide. Smaller portions,
shrinkflation,
and they say encouraging results. It's Olive Garden.
Yeah. All right.
It's like, you don't need 70 breadsticks.
Hey.
30 is enough.
Hey. Unlimited. No, there's a limit. We all know there's a limit.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.